So, okay, this is followed up by what I think is probably the penultimate. This is the greatest summation of Disney Star Wars. Are you ready? May 1st. No, wait, it's not what you think. It's May 1st, 2022. This is a park thing. The Galactic Star Cruiser opens.
Oh my dear Lord. I was just watching a YouTube video about this before I came and did this show.
Yeah. Oh, Disney spends now. Some people say somewhere around 300 million, but a lot of the estimates are 300 million, but a lot of estimates are $1 billion. They spend a
Yep.
billion. That's with a B, folks. $1 billion to build a hotel with no windows. It's a big box with view screens, and you got to mortgage your home to spend 2 nights there with your family.
The food sucks. There's nothing to do when you're there.
And they think that they're going to print money with this. They're going to print money with this box with TV screens that costs like, $10,000-$12,000 a night. And
But
again,
they killed their fan base. Oh, like
this is after Book of Boba Fett. This is after the Rise of Skywalker, and where all of the characters, where is it set? What timeline do they choose?
the newer movies.
Yeah, the First Order and the Resistance and the new sequel trilogy, which no one like, and you want people spend over $10,000
On
to
that?
to be on like a land-bound submarine.
Yeah, why don't you put it in the Cloud City? Like, why not that?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't hang out with Jar Jar. What's Jar Jar doing?
yeah. Anything other than more of this resistance nonsense. So
Yeah.
that opens. Now I'll skip ahead a little bit. That's May of 2022. Let's skip to September 30th of 2023. The Galactic Star Cruiser closes. Out of business.
Tragedy.
Tragedy. There's just they just take $1 billion and set it on fire.
They just jokered it.
Yeah, they just jokered it. They just jokered $1 billion on a useless building that they can't do anything with now.
Because it doesn't have windows.
It doesn't. I mean, like, what do you? I guess it's a warehouse. It's a $1 billion warehouse. Oh, it's just like you could just tack that. They paid 4.05 billion for Lucasfilm. You could just tack this billion onto it, basically, because they got no return. So now you're 5 billion. I read an article, and sometimes I feel like the media. I'm like, are they this stupid? Or are they just willfully trying to deceive people? That claimed that Disney had earned their initial investment back at the box office because total gross box office had passed $4 billion.
Yeah, but they spent money to make those movies. That's not how.
The media is like the movies just grew up from nowhere. They didn't have to pay actors. They didn't have to buy cameras. That just movies they just fell from heaven. They just dropped right at their lap.
By the last one, the CGI looked so bad that it looked like it might have been done by like an 8th grader with like Adobe Pro or something.
And the other thing, the theater chains, they show all the Star Wars movie gratis. They don't want any of the money.
No, of course not. I mean,
they give it all back. Yeah. So anyway, they follow up the Star Cruiser. That's May 1st. May 27th, we get Obi-Wan.
Do we ever?
Yeah. With our favorite character, Reva. That was just so great. Yeah.
Actually, the main character of the show.
The actual main character is Reva. And that's like saying did you watch Dexter?
Oh, yeah.
That would be like if you watched the first season of Dexter and found out the show was about dokes. You know?
That's a really good analogy.
There's just one character in a whole show that feels like they're in a totally different show because they're acting, their performance is just 180 degrees from what everyone else is doing. And it's just like,
it's awful.
God. Yeah.
It's so bad.
It's just so bad.
It's so bad.
And they just build all these errors. Like he meets young Leia, and it's like at no point do they act like they recognize each other in a Star Wars. Like in Star Wars,
no.
She's like, my father told me about you. It's like, you shouldn't say that. She'd be like, hey, Obi-Wan, remember me?
I was a little girl last time you saw me.
Yeah.
Well, that goes back to you got to make Leia super important to the story, more important to the story than anyone else. But that doesn't make sense because it's just gobbledygook at this point. Like they have no plan. They're just like, oh, people will watch this because it's Star Wars.
Just because.
Yeah, because we're Disney and it's Star Wars. We're gonna make money.
Yeah, and it's like they figure like, oh, they won't notice. They won't notice that Leia and Ben should know each other. They were like, we need a spunky kid. We need a spunky kid. And they're like, well, we can't put Luke in here because they will notice that Ben and Luke weren't close.
Yeah.
So we'll just throw Leia in there and nobody will think about it. It'll be fine. Okay.
Stupid. So dumb.
So we follow up. Yeah. So now we've taken out Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi. They're both not all that great. That we're on a streak now. They follow that up in September 21st, 2022. They make a thing that's good, but they don't tell anybody, and they drop Andor.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The Rogue One prequel, which is like really, like, it's good.
It's not bad. Yeah.
Nobody, people still don't know that that's a thing. They still have no.
I mean, I had forgotten about it, but it was good. I mean, compared, it was the best thing that Star Wars has done in 20 years.
Yeah. So, and they buried it. They didn't. You could tell they have no idea what they're doing because the best thing they've done in 10, 20 years comes along and they don't tell anybody. So they follow that up is, October, they release Visions season 1, which is just basically, we have no idea what to do with any of this. So we're going to have a bunch of anime studios and other places like, hey, what would you do?
Yeah, make our Star Wars for us.
Yeah, make us some Star Wars. It could be 30 minutes. It could be an hour. Pick any era you want. Retell some stories that have already been told.
Ruin that continuity.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Star Wars is clearly in a multiverse.
Yeah, multiverse is how you fix it all, man. That is the thing.
Yeah, clearly, multiverse.
It's just so crazy. Star Wars is the type of property, and we've been in this argument with Jonathan. Marvel is the type of property that you built in, you have to reboot it.
Yeah, definitely, because that's what the comics do.
Yeah,
we talked about this as well. Like the comics get too muddled, and then they reboot.
Right, because there are certain characters. I don't care how offended you get, but there's some characters that are better than other characters and more interesting.
100%. Yeah.
Cap, Thor, Iron Man, Spider-Man. These are the big names.
Wolverine.
Yeah, Wolverine. Yeah. Nobody's showing up for the $1 billion Sleepwalker franchise. It's not happening.
What's Cloak and Dagger up to?
Yeah, that's just not. And the thing is, if you're rolling out things like Hulk, Thor, Cap, you can sneak in a Guardians of the Galaxy and everybody will go because
it pops.
And it pops because they know these other characters. But you can't just be at the bottom of the barrel throwing one obscure character after another one against the wall and expect people to show up for that. So the actors get old, the actors retire, they want to do something else.
You reboot. 1,000%.
And they're way past having to do that. Star Wars was the kind of property. Star Wars was the kind of property, if you did it right and you didn't mess it up, you were never going to have to reboot. You didn't have to do it.
They literally go on throughout the entire galaxy.
Yeah, you don't have to follow the same family and tell the same story. You don't have to stay in the same timeline. But they can.
No, you totally do. Like
Yeah.
no one cares about Star Wars unless it's a Skywalker. Come on.
Yeah. Apparently that's the lesson they've learned as they go away. And the only things anybody likes don't feature any Skywalkers. But whatever.
It's true. But yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think the Acolyte does.
Yeah. So we get March 2023, we get Mando season 3 because, why not keep going and ruin the only good thing you had
just
going.
Run that into the ground.
Yeah, just tank it. Just tank it. Like, now you're mad at the fandom. Basically what's happening now is you're angry with the fans because they didn't like your Obi-Wan show and they didn't like the Rise of Skywalker, but they like this Mando show. So you're like, you know what? You like that? Well, watch this.
We're going to ruin it.
Yeah. Screw you guys. Then you get the Bad Batch season 2, which is in a cartoon. You watch it or you don't. Then they follow that up. August 2023. What? You like that Ahsoka character from Clone Wars? You thought she was cool?
No anymore, you don't.
Yeah, you liked her Mando season 2? Watch this. Boom. And you know what? For extra value, you liked Rebels. You liked that cartoon that takes place during the rebellion. You like that cool Mandalorian girl that was in that. You thought she was cool too?
No.
Boom.
I hope you enjoy
it. Lightsabers don't hurt people.
Well, yeah, I mean they're mean. You can't be mean. It's mean to hurt people.
Oh, and then like if you're not force sensitive, you still get to be a Jedi. And then if you try really hard, by the end, you could fly. You can make people fly. You could do force pushes, even though it's well established that you are not force sensitive at all.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there are more guidelines to this at this point.
Which makes you feel like the people, the dudes in Rogue One were really missing out. I don't know how they weren't levitating and doing all the Jedi
stuff.
I mean,
they should all just start flying. Like, yeah.
I mean, why not? That's what you should be. You should float around
all kinds of things with the Force.
I don't know why Jedi bother with ships. Why aren't they all just floating around? Yeah. Why aren't they floating around in space fighting ships with lightsabers? That's what they could do, right?
Leia did.
So
she and it flew.
So after Ahsoka, shortly after that, that's when the Star Cruiser closed. Then we had Bad Batch season 3. And that's February 2024. May of 2024, we get more Visions because again, they have no ideas.
Nope.
They got a whole other, like they find some more anime studios, be like, hey, you guys, what's your take? And then comes June 4th, 2024. On Disney Plus, we get The Acolyte.
Possibly one of the worst 3 episodes of television I've ever watched in my
life. We were doing a live reaction show on Bone Bridger's channel after every episode. So I watched that thing to its completion.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
And it just it was bad. And then it got worse. And then it got worse. It shows Disney is suffering now from a few things. They have a lack of commitment. They hate you. They hate your fan base. They want to make things that you're going to hate. But there's still a few people in the room that even though they hate you, they still want your money.
Yeah, well, they want your money. Also, they're smart enough to pay reporters to be like, if you don't like this, you're a bad person.
Yeah. And so, but they got people in the room dialing it back just a little bit. So you start with a concept of an idea. We're going to make a show where the Jedi are just morally bankrupt child abductors who travel the galaxy, raiding innocent lesbian witches' homes and stealing their Force-created children.
Yeah. By the way, that Anakin Skywalker being conceived by the Force, not that big of a deal.
Not that big a deal. I mean, it happens all the time. Lesbian space witches. Yeah. They're making them 2 at a time. Lesbian space witches throughout the galaxy are making them doubles. They're making 2 at a time. They don't just do one. They're getting twins, man. They're way better at this. So
I guess that makes sense that Anakin had twins.
And that's the show you want to make, right? You want to make a show where the Jedi are just obvious bad guys.
Mm.
But somebody in the room says, no, you can't do that. That's going too far. So instead of the Jedi just cutting down this innocent woman, she turns into a giant, fearsome smoke monster, and it looks like she's going to kill one of her children. So that's why the Jedi attacks her. But you've already written the whole show where the whole group of Jedi commences on a huge cover-up. A guy is so guilty that he meditates for 16, 19 years without speaking because of the unspeakable acts that you just committed. And,
oh my God.
And so basically you created a show that doesn't make any sense.
Also, it's a real, like, here's the issue that I was seeing. Because I got to, I think, the 4th episode. And every episode it was the Jedi are the bad guy. So that makes me think if the Jedi are the bad guy, that must mean that the Empire was the good guy. The only issue with that is that the Empire was based on Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
So what are you trying to tell me, Disney?
They literally have stormtroopers. They have stormtroopers. George didn't change the name because he didn't want you to miss it. You know? He didn't want the symbolism to get past anyone, you know?
Yeah, we had to hammer it.
Yeah. And so here's the thing. I was never going to like a show where the Jedi were bad guys.
Yeah, I wasn't either.
But they didn't even manage to make that show. You muddled that up. Like, you know, it's like me and Tim just watched Agatha all along.
Yeah.
And Tim was never going to like a show about an E-tier Marvel character that's a lesbian witch. I mean, like, he was never going to like that show.
Yeah.
But I was going to like that show. But because they knew Tim wasn't going to like it, they tried to like MCU it up a little bit. And they mixed in 3 or 4 episodes that had the regular MCU tone and introduced some characters that are going to be important going forward. And this is a low budget show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you said it was a limited series. Nobody's watching it. And like, you could make that show, make it low budget, let the people who want to watch this comedic show about this witch enjoy it. But no, you're like, no. See, Disney won't commit. If you want to make your evil Jedi story in the Acolyte, go ahead and make it. See if you can find an audience for it.
You're going to isolate a lot of your audience. And like they do, Disney's marketing is really weird. Like, we're talking about Agatha. Like, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not certain you're going to sell a show on telling everybody that it's a gay explosion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, some people are going to be like, I don't want to watch that. Like, I don't care. Like, watch what you want to watch. But, like, if that's what the Acolyte was, like, pitched as. They were like, guys, you're going to love all of this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, none of that seems likable. Like,
yeah. Hey, Josh. Josh, the homesteader, is here. He just made it. Josh has been with us every week.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Josh came. He did not watch Agatha, but he did watch us talk about Agatha. And I was trying to convince him for the first few episodes that it was good. And then by episode 6, I gave up and let him know he was right to have not been watching it. Josh joined the channel and started chiming in back when we were doing our Rings of Power reviews.
Okay, awesome.
Which he always hated. And me and Tim were trying to tell him they were good. And by the time season 2 was over, we were like, Josh, you were right. That show was not good.
There's a reoccurring theme. It seems like Josh knows his stuff.
Yeah, I think Josh should be doing the show, and me and Tim should be watching it because he's been ahead of the curve on all of this.
But so, is there any hope for Star Wars? Like, where do you have? After going through all this, I don't think there's any hope. I think it's dead.
Yeah,
I think we answered our question.
Here's what I just realized. I was at Spirit Halloween. Let me see what Josh is saying. I'm the prophet of bad TV. Yes, Josh is the prophet of bad TV. He's tried to warn us, but we don't listen. I was at Spirit Halloween the day after Halloween because I go, everything's 50% off. That was the day after Halloween. So they're clearing out the whole store. And I had been there a couple of times before Halloween to get odds and ends. And it wasn't until that clearance sale that I walked all the aisles and I realized
there's no Star Wars.
There was no Star Wars. Not a single Star Wars thing in the whole store. And then I thought back, Trick or Treat had been the night before or 2 nights before on the actual Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
There were Marios, there were Batman, there were Spider-Man.
A couple of Deadpools at our house.
Yeah, Deadpools, Wolverines, which you're like, why are these kids watching Deadpool and Wolverine?
But that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah. So not one Jedi, not one Yoda, not one Darth Vader. No Star Wars anything.
Not even a Kylo Ren.
Yeah. No Kylo Ren. No May. No Osha. No Smilo Ren, whatever his name was.
Oh, yeah. The bad guy in that.
Yeah. Jason from The Good Place was not to be found. Yeah. So, and that's when I think it really dawned on me. Like I texted some people. I was like, they killed it. They have honest.
It's dead.
It's dead because that's what everybody kept telling me. Accept all this garbage content because they're keeping it in the public consciousness.
Yeah, but it's not like nobody cares. Kids, it's back to you're back to being a nerd if you like Star Wars.
Right. If I can make it through a Halloween and hand out trick or treat candy to like a couple hundred kids, and I can go to Spirit Halloween, which is this huge store full of like they got a Scooby-Doo section, man.
Scooby-Doo hasn't been in the zeitgeist since what? 2005?
Yeah. When was the last Scooby-Doo project? But he's still in the public consciousness enough. Dude, they have a Flintstones section. Right? You got Fred, Wilma, Barney, Betty. They're all there. All of those are still in the public consciousness because they're there at Spirit Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Adult section, kids section, every section.
No Star Wars.
Star Wars, no. Yeah. So you're not keeping it in the public consciousness. You're driving it out, you know?
Yep.
Oh, Wizard of Oz. They had Dorothy, Tin Man, Lion, Scarecrow. That movie was made in the 20s, man.
They're about to have a major motion picture come out. And
they're like a month or two. But
yeah, it's crazy.
If you would just let it rest, Star Wars was so good. It was not going to leave the public consciousness.
No, it wasn't.
It was never going to go away. And it's like E.T. People still know what E.T. is.
And there's only been one of those.
One self-contained story told like over 40 years ago. And everybody still knows what it is because it's just that good. You know, you don't have to keep piling out garbage for people to remember. It's sad, but no, they have. They have killed Star Wars dead, and it makes me sad.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way to revive it.
No, I mean, and that's the other thing. The thing about the Acolyte is you jump back 1,000 years or more, or I can't remember exactly. You're in a whole nother period in time. Back in the High Republic, the High Old Republic, where the Jedis are the guardians of peace and justice, and you don't have to worry about any of the mistakes you made with Obi-Wan or the Rise of Skywalker. You're out of the Imperial First Order. You're out of all of that.
Yeah.
And the fact that you screwed it up doesn't matter. You can start fresh in this timeline and make something good.
Yep.
And instead, they just took a big dump in that timeline to where you can't do anything good there anymore.
Yeah, they Michael Scotted it. They drove their car into a lake.
Yeah.
By listening to writers that were like, no, this is really what we need to do.
Right. So now they took an evergreen franchise and made it to where you have to reboot it.
Nobody's going to like a reboot.
No. Basically, what you have to do is try to throw out everything they've done and say they need to wait 5 years and try again. They're used to raising canon, so cutting out the bad stuff shouldn't be an issue. That's
a good point.
They need to just take a break, and you know what? They're just be like, psych.
None of
that happened. They need to do like Terminator did. Do like Halloween did. Do like Halloween.
Twice.
They were just like, all those sequels didn't happen. Those first movies did. We're going to start immediately after that one. And just they need to start fresh from Return of the Jedi on, and throw the good out with the bad, because there's more bad than good now.
There wasn't much good.
Yeah.
Except for Rogue One. Rogue One can still be canon because it counts.
I mean, actually, you could have kept some Mandalorian, but you threw that out in season 3.
Sure. You ruined the Mandalorian. You killed it. You killed the Mandalorian dead.
Yeah. Out of spite.
Yeah, because your fans actually liked it.
Yeah. Screw you if you don't like Rise of Skywalker. Watch what we do to your Din Djarin.
Precious Mandalorian.
Yeah, it is so dead, and it's sad. I just gotta mourn for it, because really, what they've done is tarnished what there was of it. Like it really does diminish the original thing.
1,000%.
And if you're gonna do something to totally dishonor George's wishes, then give us the original trilogy back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Get rid of these special editions and let Han shoot first if you don't care what George thinks.
And give us crappy white lightsabers. That's what I want.
Yeah, I just want all the old effects. I don't want cartoon Jabba. You just cut that whole scene out.
None of that weird bar scene that gets added in the first one where they're doing the jazz. None of that.
None of it.
Nope. Didn't
happen. Yeah.
But it's too late. I just don't think you come back from this.
Yeah,
Moment of silence for Star Wars.
Let's pour one out. I didn't bring one in here. I can't pour one out in my office. But
for the homies.
For the homies. For the Ewoks.
I was thinking, we didn't even get an Ewok show.
No.
We didn't. I would have loved an Ewok show. But
I would have watched it, man. They finally the old Ewok TV specials are on Disney Plus now. You can watch them. So that's good fun. Better than the Acolyte. But I mean, give us the Christmas special.
Yeah, that's what I want.
How much worse than the Acolyte can it really be?
It can't be worse. It cannot.
I don't think. And you didn't even make it as it went in. They did character turns not just 2 or 3 times an episode, but 3 or 4 times a scene. You couldn't figure out who the good guy and the bad guy was with a scorecard. Yeah, May was evil, and then May was bad, and then May was good, and then she was bad, and then she was good, and then she was bad. And they were doing the double thing where whenever was the good guy, then Osha was the bad guy, and then Osha would be the good guy, and May would be the bad guy, and they were just both with no motivation whatsoever that made any sense. They would just, and then you didn't see the they them gerbil. The they them gerbil had a turn that was never explained.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wait. One more time.
The they them gerbil. There was a gerbil creature that was they them, and it changed sides. They didn't address a lot. What's that?
It talked.
It did not talk, but it was sentient. It ran around. It had a pilot's hat.
So they just said it was a they them?
Yes, they said that. There was a line of dialogue where May or Osha, they switched places so many times I can't remember which one, turned to somebody and said, "Who is he or she or they?" And then there was no answer to that question. But
we got it in there.
Since she asked it, from that point forward, it was established that the gerbil creature was non-binary. Now, whether this species, like we are dealing with alien creatures, so alien creatures could actually physiologically be non-binary. That could be an actual thing. Now, whether or not this creature actually identified that way because it didn't speak is unclear. And if it did, whether it physically really was that way, that's not established either. But in all reviews and writings and everything going forward, it was a they them. Oh my God, the ones with the little blonde girl in it. I had mixed feelings about those even as a kid. The Ewok movies, they're not great, but they're so bad they're good. You know what I'm saying?
They're better than the Acolyte.
They're better than the Acolyte. Everything. Tim's surprised we're still going. No, we got stamina, Tim. We go, man.
Yeah. We're going, dude. We're ready to the end.
Hey, Josh says hi to Tim. Tim, say hi.
Hey, Tim, what are we going to debate next?
Yeah, we need to get Tim debating. Non-binary group of people must be addressed. We must address all of the non-binary. They need representation because the non-binary gerbils have been put upon for too long, and we're gonna. He's gonna get his own show, I think.
Definitely, 1,000%. Dealing with the real important social issues of the day.
Yeah. To the gerbils' credit, he was a better actor than Amanda Sandberg. That I will say that.
Well, that's not difficult to do.
Yeah, expressed way more emotions. So, but I think we did. We reached the conclusion of our Star Wars thing. I'm Dan. That's Jason. Tim will be back next week, and this has been Nerd Side Champs. Hey, everybody. You just watched part 3 of our 3-part discussion about the history of Disney Star Wars. If you're interested, and starting again at the beginning, part 1 of that discussion can be found right here. And if you would like to just watch the whole thing in one go, the original live stream where we had the discussion plus some other tangents and fun stuff is right over there.